Guys. Oh, that's too pretty. It's better. So here we go, guys. Haven't seen the shit. This came out like 10 months ago, and these are kids channels that are defunct. So here we go. So let's see what we got here. I'll say we know it or not. Universal Kids. Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
As we pay tribute to this batch of defunct kids channels on this episode of Junior Nostalgia, let's start off this video by mourning the loss of the most recent channel to pull the plug, Universal Kids. In the second ever episode of this series, I had YouTuber Lula Lucy on the channel, where she provided an in-depth analysis of Universal Kids' predecessor, PBS Kids Sprout. However, since that video was uploaded, the cable channel has finally thrown in the white towel. So yeah, here we are again. Universal Kids was originally launched as PBS Kids Sprout in 2005.
Okay.
This channel created in collaboration between several entertainment companies. The network emerged following the closure of PBS's original 24-hour PBS Kids channel in 2005, which aimed to provide round-the-clock shows and programming. On October 20th, 2004, PBS announced its partnership with Comcast, HIT Entertainment, and Sesame Workshop to create a dedicated cable network for preschool audiences.
Comcast. I got rid of
This initiative
Comcast.
sought to strengthen the competitive standing of all parties involved while maintaining PBS's commitment to educational content.
I got rid of
The PBS
Comcast.
Kids Sprout brand debuted on April 4th, 2005 as a video-on-demand service before expanding into a fully fledged 24 cable channel on September 26, 2005, effectively replacing the previous PBS Kids channel. At launch, PBS Kids Sprout was available to approximately 16 million households through Comcast and Inside cable providers, a number which will increase over time. While PBS Kids Sprout maintained its educational focus, it operated under a commercial-supported model, setting it apart from the PBS network, where traditional television advertisements were shown in limited quantities between programs, specifically targeting parents and caregivers rather than children. And due to this ad-supported format, the network did not include the standard funding credits typically seen on PBS programming. In 2009, the Wiggles transitioned from the Playhouse Disney block to PBS Kids Sprout.
Oh.
This move coincided with the launch of the new morning block, Sprout's Weekly Waffle, hosted by the popular group. This decision came amid rising competition from another musical group, the Imagination Movers, whose new show premiered on Disney Channel in 2008. By the time the Wiggles debuted on Sprout in August of 2009, a month later, the network underwent a branding change, shortening its name from PBS Kids Sprout to simply Sprout. However, PBS's ownership still reflected in on-screen graphics until November 2013. That would be when NBC Universal took full control of the network. Under NBCU's leadership, Sprout began investing heavily in other original programming to better compete with other cable rivals. It also supplied NBCU's preschool blocks, NBC Kids and Mi Telemundo, which had replaced the recently discontinued Cubo block. It was around this time
Cubo was on 3 networks.
Of the decline. By 2016, NBC Universal announced that it will discontinue its Saturday morning block in favor of a new block produced by Litton Entertainment, known as The More You Know. You probably recognize that phrase from all the memes. And NBC sought to revive the brand as a morning block aimed at adolescents. With less incentive to produce preschool content, Sprout's future was already in doubt. A few months later, in August 2016, NBC Universal acquired DreamWorks Animation. Following this acquisition, Deidre Bryan, formerly of Canadian media company Chorus Entertainment, was appointed president of Sprout in January 2017, replacing Sandy Wax. Just a few months later, it was announced that Sprout will be rebranded as Universal Kids, launching on September 9, 2017. The new identity introduced a drastically different lineup targeting older children and preteens while retaining preschool programming under the Sprout brand from 3 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Daily Time. At launch, Universal Kids introduced a slate of original unscripted series, including Bear Grylls, Survival School, and Top Chef Jr. NBC Universal also planned to make significant investments in original content over the next 3 years, including scripted programming. DreamWorks also played a key role in Universal Kids' programming strategy, with the network securing linear TV premieres of DreamWorks Netflix series, such as All Hail King Julian and Dragons Riders of Berk. Industry experts saw this integration as an opportunity for NBC Universal to compete with major networks across multiple platforms. Despite these efforts, Universal Kids struggled to maintain an audience. According to IndieWire, they reported a 30% decline in viewership in 2017, followed by a 73% drop in 2018. Its decline was the result of two major factors. First, the abrupt shift from a 24-hour preschool channel to a youth-oriented network. This would alienate its foundational audience, and because of that, they would just switch to another channel like Nick or Disney Jr. Secondly, and you might already know this by now, the decline reflected a broader trend in children's media, as traditional cable networks lost relevance in favor of digital and streaming platforms by this time. a shift that the Universal Kids brand has failed to adapt to.
Technically, I
As a
did it.
result, by 2019, Universal Kids announced that it will halt programming, and from this point forward, the channel essentially was on autopilot, airing primarily acquired shows, many of which were from DreamWorks, and gradually shifting back towards preschool content. This is probably the reason why the network changed their logo from a sleek-looking one to a more preschool-looking one in 2019. But this move wouldn't really bring back viewers. As of 2024, Variety ranked Universal Kids 141st out of 154th place in cable and broadcast networks based on Nielsen ratings, averaging 20,000 viewers, which, wow, that's pretty low for cable standards, I'm not gonna lie. Right below it is Disney XD, which only has 18,000 viewers. Foretelling, maybe? I don't know. Looking at Universal Kids' current schedule, it primarily consists of shows like Trolls, All Hail King Julian, Masha and the Bear, Flugels, Ruff Ruff, Twin and Dave, and CoComelon. Okay, you know what? This channel is a far cry from what it used to be. I think we should just burn it to the ground. In January 2025, NBC Universal announced that Universal Kids would shut down on March 6, 2025. A company spokesperson emphasized that NBC Universal would remain committed to family entertainment, but it will focus on investing in Illumination, DreamWorks Animation, and kid-focused content on Peacock. The closure coincided with Comcast's decision to spin off most of NBC Universal's cable properties into a separate publicly traded company. These channels include the USA Network, CNBC, MSNBC, Oxygen, E! Network, Sci-Fi, and the Golf Channel. An announcement that notably excluded Universal Kids from this plan. Bravo, along with NBC and Telemundo's local stations, will be the only networks to remain under NBC Universal's main corporate umbrella. It's a bombshell to hear that so many well-known channels are soon to be spun out. Like, I'm well aware that cable's been on a decline, can't you tell? But seeing the future of these huge channels in limbo is just surreal to see. Get ready for another 10 installments of defunct TV channels, I guess.
We'll be right back after this.
Guys, every day massive companies are getting hacked left, right, and center.
I don't
Personal
care.
information, emails, passwords, and even financial
I don't
data.
care about the ad. I want to see. Come on, I'm wasting my time doing this.
Yes, I am the head of the household. The financial decision?
Enough time for Aura to find out if your data is out there. Don't wait for a data breach to happen. Sign up today and let Aura handle the rest. With that said, let's continue the video.
The break's over. Now back to the show.
Hello? Yes.
Fox
I am the
Family?
head of the household.
Ooh.
The financial decision?
Fox Kids, Fox Family. 1990 to 2002. Yep, I remember Fox Kids.
Maker, could you hold on for a second?
Fox Family
Yeah.
became Freeform.
Okay, while researching this topic, I was just going to talk about only the Boys and Girls channel, but as I kept digging through the history of the channel, there wasn't much, if I'm being honest. The whole channel is mostly lost media for the most part, but it led me to a rabbit hole on the insanity that was Fox Family worldwide. So consider this like a 4-in-1 comprehensive overview that covers all these topics.
Fox Kids is pretty good.
I guess we could start off in the year 1985. That year, Aussie billionaire Rupert Murdoch became a legal U.S. citizen. This meant he now had the legal requirement to own and operate American-based television stations. Wait, what the fuck? With his knowledge, he would create a platform that will eventually develop into a media-operated fourth branch of government. I mean, entertainment for families. Yeah. In April 1986, Fox Television LLC was established, becoming the subsidiary responsible for all local Fox stations across the U.S. Where just 6 months later, the first 6 Fox stations launched: WNYW in New York City, WTTG in Washington, D.C., KTTTV in Los Angeles, KRIB in Houston, WFLB
Yes,
in
it's us.
Chicago, and KDAF in Dallas. At launch, the network didn't really offer much variety. It did offer a late show. I mean, so did the United Network, and that didn't last long. It wasn't until April 5th, 1987, when the channel did a soft relaunch into prime time with the premieres of the sitcom Married with Children and the sketch comedy series The Tracy Ullman Show. But there would be one particular cartoon that aired in the late 80s. You might have heard of it. It's The Simpsons DuckTales. It's DuckTales. What were you expecting? The show would begin airing on Fox in 1987 and would become a smash hit towards viewers. So much so that the following year, Disney purchased an independent television station, KHJ-TV in Los Angeles, and renamed it to KCAL-TV. Disney wanted to air DuckTales and Chip and Dale on their newly acquired station. This move angered the Fox station, and they would retaliate by removing DuckTales from all Fox affiliates. While I won't get to the whole nitty-gritty of it, this corporate drama eventually culminated in what would become the Fox Children's Network, which will later
Fox
be named the
Kids.
Fox Kids Network, and then just Fox Kids. Fox Kids Network launched on September 8th, 1990, featuring in-house productions such as Bobby's World, Eat the Cat, and Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, among many other shows.
Bobby's World's still in the
lineup
air.
also includes shows produced by Saban Entertainment, Marvel Productions, Deke Entertainment, and Warner Brothers Animations. Some of these more iconic series included
X-Men.
animated series, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yep,
and
remember Power
Spider-Man.
Rangers.
Throughout most of the early 1990s, Fox Kids became the leading children's programming block, and soon it would take more of the schedule. At first, the block aired for 30 minutes on weekdays and 3 hours on Saturdays. However, it eventually expanded to over 3 hours on weekdays and 4 hours on Saturdays. It seemed like nothing could stop the powerhouse. That was until Kids WB entered the scene.
And
Launched in
Disney took
September
everything over.
1995, Kids WB launched on WB stations and came out swinging with an all-star inaugural lineup of Animaniacs, Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries, Pinky and the Brain, and Freakazoid. And just like DuckTales, Animaniacs was another show that Fox Kids lost broadcasting rights when it would move to Kids WB. By the late 1990s, they would soon acquire the rights to Pokemon, which would unanimously make Kids WB the go-to spot for after-school cartoons. Fox Kids would attempt to
Digimon!
own Pokemon in the form of Digimon, but
Digimon was great. I like Digimon.
$6.99. See you this week.
Digimon Power Rangers was pretty good. So was Wood Woodpecker.
I work with some X.
Uh-huh.
I got your kid.
My gosh.
Xfinity.
Oh, God, is it? Got your little bag. Yeah.
Stop being a black bitch.
Bring on the double. After my hospital stay, Aflac helped work.
Let's go Saturday. Alexander the Great.
No, I got work today. I'm just doing an early video.
Yeah. I think Fox losing their highest rated cartoons twice led to News Corporation making some rapid decisions. In September 1996, Fox Children's Network and Saban Entertainment, which had been producing shows for the block since its launch, merged to create Fox Kids Worldwide. This merger aimed to level the playing field with their competitors, as by the mid-1990s, the children's television market was booming. So by that logic,
I haven't
Fox
cable
Kids'
yet.
move would position them more competitively against other networks
I
in
got
the
work.
industry.
I would
With
work
the new
for.
subsidiary,
Get this done.
Fox Kids Worldwide aimed to expand beyond a programming block and into the world.
Nope,
of
guys, it's closed today.
Just 8 months later, News Corporation would purchase International Family Entertainment for
Ooh.
$1.9 billion. If you're unaware of who they are, IFE was a smaller media company founded by Pat Robertson, best known as the owner of the channel. This network traces its origins back to
CBN.
April of 1977 as the CBN Satellite Network, which, if I'm not mistaken, makes it one of the first cable satellite networks, predating others like Nickelodeon and the USA Network by just a few months. The network was originally run by the Christian Broadcasting Network, hence the CBN name. It primarily aired religious programming from televangelists and was home to its flagship program, The 700 Club, a show that has remained on the network every day like an inoperable tumor. It wasn't until the early 1980s that the network began to pivot to
I don't know
a
yet.
hybrid of religious and family programming, featuring classic movies, westerns, and dramas from the 1950s and 60s. By 1988, the channel was rebranded as the CBN Family Channel. However, just 2 years later, the parent company spun off the brand to the aforementioned International Family Entertainment, changing its name once again to the Family Channel. This move was made to comply with U.S. tax laws, as CBN's nonprofit status conflicted with the network's growing success. By creating IFA as a for-profit company, CBN avoided legal issues while still maintaining influence over the network. Look, I know it seems like I'm going all over the place with this topic, and, to be honest, I am, but I think it's important to know where all these lines connect. Once the acquisition was complete, Fox Kids Worldwide was renamed to Fox Family Worldwide, and the Family Channel was rebranded to Fox Family Channel. Under new management,
Then
the programming
ABC
schedule
Family, then
underwent a complete
Freeform.
overhaul. The previous content, which catered to an older audience, was replaced with a mix of cartoons, game shows, and live-action series aimed at children, teens, and families. The only exception was the 700 Club, which was required to air 3 times a day for ever. Despite its focus on religion and politics, this particular show felt out of place among the new program. Even today, the network has been hesitant to pause its lineup just for this one show. Despite the occasional odd breaks between broadcasts, the new Fox Family lineup did not disappoint. It featured popular shows such as Donkey Kong Country, The New Addams Family, Pee-wee's Playhouse, Goosebumps, and the Fox Kids lineup, and much, much more.
Goosebumps.
I mean, a lot more. I mean, just look at this Wikipedia list. I'm not reading all this. Fox Family Channel also successfully established a niche with its annual seasonal programming blocks, the 13 Days of Halloween and the 25 Days of Christmas.
They still do that.
These blocks showcase seasonal specials and movies, and it remains some of the few elements that have continued into the current format. That said, while Fox Family Worldwide had the platform and syndication rights all in order, They might have bitten off more than they can chew. Shortly after the launch of the Fox Family Channel, they announced not one, but two new children's networks, dubbed the Boys and Girls Channel, with a Z, of course. That name alone just gave the platform a limited lifespan. This announcement was seen as a surprise to many, as it wasn't announced previously at the Saban Summit of 1998, an event that typically outlines the brand's future plans. And even so, this was immediately met with skepticism and overall confusion. If you think about it, it seems like this was a reckless move. First and foremost, by the time Boys and Girls Channel was announced, the war on children's television was in full swing. I mean, this is late 1998 we're talking about. Dragon Ball Z was starting airing on Cartoon Network for the first time, and SpongeBob was just a few months away from premiering. So the timing suggests that they were stretching themselves too thin. Many were also concerned that expanding the number of channels would negatively impact Fox Family's already low viewership, which had already declined by 35% during prime time in 1999. This drop was attributed due to a shift in more youth-oriented shows that alienated some of its core older audience, which Fox Family could not replace. Therefore, investing a significant amount of money into two new platforms seemed like a really bad idea. In spite of all this concern, Fox Family Worldwide went ahead with the plan, and on Halloween 1999, the Boys and Girls Channel was launched. According to Next TV, the lineup for the digital networks included a 2-hour parenting block in prime time, a 4-hour programming block targeting 6 to 14-year-olds, and a 3-hour preschool block during the day. The plan promised that over 25% of the content would be original to the U.S., with over 6% being exclusive to the Boys and Girls Channel. In practice, though, much of the lineup leaned heavily on the existing shows from the Fox and Saban libraries, including content previously exclusive to international Fox Kids channels. As for original content, to my knowledge, most of the original programming consisted of magazine-style shows called Boysopolis and Girlsopolis, two shows that were meant to explore issues important to real kids. There were also programs meant for parents to learn on how to be there for their kids. However, I couldn't find much footage on this, so I think this is also lost media. By late 2000, Fox Family Worldwide announced that both Boys Channel and Girls Channel would shut down on August 18th, only 10 months after the channel had launched. The reason being that by now, the market was just overpacked. CN, Nick, and Disney have already established themselves as the go-to spot for TV. You also had spin-off channels like Discovery Kids, Nick, Boomerang, and even Fox Family themselves, taking more eyeballs from the two new networks.
Boomerang's gone.
But it's not like anyone was watching, or even had
Discovery Kids is gone.
Due to the massive lack in demand from cable providers, both networks only managed to get 100,000 subscribers each, which is way more than what I have. Am I the failure? Fox Family in 2000 was
no, you have more subscribers than I do.
Similarly to the Boys and Girls Channel, they too were behind in ratings, with many of their original programs failing to gain a strong following. The problem Fox Family was dealing with was that they had attempted to cater to multiple demographics at the same time.
Mr. Bean.
The former programming, a lot of it was either kids content, teen dramas, or family-oriented shows. Not to mention the random cutaways to the 700 Club. It just seemed to me that the channel lacked
Kalamazoo.
To make things even more confusing, with
David
channel,
GVK.
they introduced MLB games in April 2000. Perhaps done as a last-ditch effort to try to rake in ratings, but this would just last a season, as airing sports is already a costly investment. In late 2000, Fox Family Channel would introduce a new logo and graphics to signify a change in better focusing to an older audience. But by this point, it was too little too late. After months of tensions between News Corporation and Saban Entertainment had reached a breaking point, and Saban pretty much wanted out of this relationship. He and Saban opted to force News Corp to sell its interests. However, both sides struggled to agree on a valuation, eventually and decided to sell entirely to a third party. Just 7 months later, in July of 2001, it was announced that the Walt Disney Company had agreed to purchase Fox Family Worldwide from Saban and News Corp for $2.9 billion in cash, plus $2.3 billion in debt, giving the mouse control of the Fox Family Channel, Saban Entertainment, the nationwide Fox Kids channel,
that's what I lost right.
To over 6,500 episodes of action and live animated shows.
That's what happened.
Including Mighty Morphin Power Rangers,
that's what I lost my thing.
Beetleborgs, and Spider-Man. If I'm being generous, I think what they paid for was totally undervalued. Like, they seriously got this for a steal. The deal would be finalized on October 24th, 2001, and after only 3 years, Fox Family would cease operations and be relaunched as ABC Family. ABC Family rebranded itself as Freeform in 2016, yet it is still under the same ownership as it was back then. The only thing that hasn't changed is the 700 Club. That show would just never die. The only way they could probably cancel this show is if Disney decides to put a stake in the heart of Freeform. Could they really do it? Honestly, they could if they wanted to. As for the block that started it all,
Fox Kids died off.
Completely fallen off by 2001. Following Disney's acquisition of Fox Family Worldwide, Fox Kids weekday block was discontinued shortly after, leaving it as a Saturday morning block. Eventually, by September 2002, Fox Kids was discontinued and replaced with the Fox Box. Which
remember the Fox Box.
News Corp and 4Kids Television.
I remember the Fox Box. Fox Box!
Invisible guns. I'm too rich
and fall of Fox Family.
Fox Box is great.
Are one of that. At first, it seemed like the partnership between News Corp and Saban was going great, but it just seems that the moment they transitioned the cable,
that
they
seems-
have completely lost their grip on control. To give it
Okay.
TLDR, the
I'm done with this.
important
This is being boring. This is annoying. Time for something else.